The Immovable Race. Rise of the Plebeians chapter title. Murderer of Movements, a trilogy by Mikale. Within seconds we were in the open air, where a masked figure stood crouched on a muscular motorcycle waiting in the street. Running towards the bike, I noticed that the rider had more curves than her two tires gripping the pavement in a racing stance, ready to burn up the street. I hopped on the back of the nitrogen-powered motorcycle and wrapped my arms around her slim waist. "Hold on," a recognizable voice said, muffled by the mask. It was Ashley, the notorious twin. Instantly we accelerated like the first stage of a rocket propelling a payload into outer space. Looking behind me, for a second, 3 of the 100 stood in the middle of the street staring at us from a distance. And then one of them fell dead, and like dominoes so was the fate of the rest. "No!" I cried from my core. A white-clad figure stood over them, and relentlessly filled their bodies with hot lead. The figure looked up in our direction after licking his lips, and savoring the taste of death. His hair was a salt white, and his face brandished Eastern European features. Glancing behind him, he watched the approach of an oncoming biker on a white motorcycle, wearing a matching helmet, and driving the powerful machine between his legs. We leaned into a tight corner, dicing left, with Ashley's knee barely hovering above the pavement as the bike made complicated sounds. The scene of madness instantly disappeared from our rear view. Within an instant of losing sight of our enemy, we heard a loud crash. We raced down the double yellow lines at the center of a 4-lane street. Whizzing past cars on either side of us, I quickly peered behind us and saw nothing that would arouse suspicion. Suddenly, the madman blew through an intersecting light and was instantly beside us on a screaming white, dual exhaust, 2-wheeled contraption. As he reached his arm out to grab me, Ashley met the side of his motorcycle with a powerful side thrust kick, forcing our opposition to the other side of a semi-truck as we both swerved and blew past the 18-wheeler. Almost the instant we passed the freight truck, the madman was beside us and at my neck again. "Grab a hold of the handlebars," Ashley yelled to me as she grabbed the man's hands and jumped halfway onto the seat of his bike. She swiftly slammed his head into the handlebars of the bike repeatedly, bloodying his forehead a deep red. As we split a low-medium, our bikes drifted in opposite directions. Ashley effortlessly blocked his punches, and ensuing assaults with her legs split at an angle of 90 degrees. As soon as the medium ended, I sideswiped the other bike, and Ashley quickly regained control of the 2-wheeled vehicle. At once we pushed away and roared away down an off-ramp in the opposite direction at the last possible second. In a short time we passed a large outdoor motor show and parked the bike indistinctly near a variety of others. The first car we saw was a black 1969 Chevy Camaro 427, with the keys dangling in the ignition. We quickly hopped into the car and drove off, propelled by the equivalent of 500 raging thoroughbred horses. Amber took off her mask and revealed a breathtaking face that few were privileged to bear witness to. "Get down," she yelled to me as I obediently crouched down in the front passenger's seat. While Amber stared in the rearview mirror, she circled lipstick around her lips and puckered up a kiss as we sat at a stoplight. Just then a familiar-sounding one-engine vehicle quickly passed by and then faded into the distance. From the leg space of the front passenger's side I looked up at Amber as her glare into the rear view suddenly became more intense. "Stay down," she said, pushing my head back down just as I had begun to ease up. The sound of sirens slowly increased in strength, until they too had passed. As the traffic began to move once more, I sat upright in my seat and buckled my seatbelt. There was a stint of awkward silence. "I'm sorry about Malachmoshia, but you can never return home again," said Ashley, not showing her emotion or taking her eyes off the road, except to glance into the rear view. I know, I said in a depressed state as I watched the cruel world go by. But now as I sleep, who will be my guardian? I continued, too weak to move. I'm sorry about your men. We all know what risk it is that we take, Amber replied. Our bodies are but mere shells anyway. It is but a small sacrifice for eternal life, oh, loving Moshia. Looking out of the car window, we were now thundering down a narrow 2-lane road that was located on the edge of a steep cliff carved out by the rapid waters of a raging river. After a short while, our road was impeded by an intersecting train crossing a bridge with high arches and stretching across a chasm connecting to the opposing plateau. Get out, Amber directed me, stopping the car on the side of the road, causing it to come to a screeching halt. After getting out in compliance and slamming the door shut, Amber put the car in neutral and guided the vehicle toward the edge of the cliff. She rolled out the second before it careened off of the edge and exploded after meeting a shallow pool of jagged and protruding rocks. The fiery metal remains were quickly carried away by a swift current. Amber turned around and outstretched her hand toward me as the train still traveled by. I ran up to her and stopped, looking at the rapid moving train in front of us. After briefly looking back at her, I ran and caught a handle on one of the coal cars as she quickly followed. We lied flat on a bed of coal and peered over the car's edge as a white motorcycle pulled up to the railroad crossing just as the last train car had passed. A memorable figure climbed off of his motorcycle and peered down at what we hoped he perceived to be the remains of a watery grave. After looking down for a short while, he looked up in our direction as we quickly ducked down in an evasive manner. When we finally lifted up our heads again, we witnessed him return to his bike, and after making a tight U-turn, he rode off into the direction of his approach. Rolling over onto our backs, we both breathed a deep sigh of relief.